Hello YouTube, Elmas Shelf here, and I have for you guys today a post-narrated Showdown replay. Now normally I'm not going to be uploading Showdown replays like every week or so. I'm probably going to be uploading them when I get a really solid and good match. So just assume from now on, anytime I do upload a replay, it's going to be a really good battle. Because obviously I don't record every battle that I have. I do play when I don't record, just to kind of ladder and get higher on the ladder for whatever tier I'm playing in. And for this one, it was actually OU, because I really do want to get more into OU this generation, especially on Showdown, because that's where more quote-unquote competitive people are, so I can find better opponents there. And of course, if you guys do enjoy the battle, then make sure to hit the like button down below. One like can definitely go a long way. And let me know in the comment section below, do you care when it comes to whether a battle is played on Wi-Fi or Showdown, or do you just care as long as the battle is good? So yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that. And looking at team preview, going into this battle, as you can see, my opponent has a very bulky team, and I have a very offensive team that was given to me by my boy Fingerscrossed. So the biggest threats I saw on my opponent's team were easily going to be this Talonflame and that Squirrelll, just because it is pretty bulky, and if I allow it to get up a couple calm minds, it could potentially sweep through my team. So I really have to watch out for that Talonflame. If I allow it to get up 2 SDs, or if it turns out to be a bulk up variant and I allow it to set up too much, then it could definitely sweep me. So it wasn't the walls that I was worried about, it was the 2 potential sweepers on his team. And because I do have modest Charizard Y with Fire Blast, I'm going to lead off with that, because as you can see from his team, he has absolutely nothing that safely switches in. As he leads off with the Squirrelll, I'm going to go ahead and straight up Mega Evolve, go for the Fire Blast, and I get really lucky turn 1, and I get a crit on the incoming Azumarill. Now, the only way that crit would have mattered is if it was max special defense, max HP, because as you can see, it turns out that he has Zap Zipper, which I was not expecting in the slightest, and that really helps him out here as he's able to Toxic my Charizard. I am then going to be able to finish him off with a second Fire Blast, as one potential switch into my Zard is now gone. As he brings in the Sylveon, I'm going to predict him to predict me to predict him to go for the Protect, and I'm actually going to go for an aggressive play in the form of Fire Blast, as I get off a solid chunk of damage on the incoming Tentacruel. Now this turn I'm thinking, okay, he may actually go for the Protect. I don't know if Tentacruel do still run Protect in OU or not, so I'm going to switch directly into my Tyranitar, because I am adamant choice banded Tyranitar. I'm definitely going to be able to Pursuit Trap this Tentacruel, as thankfully for me, he does not burn me with the Scald, and the following turn I will definitely be able to finish him off with another Pursuit. Even if he does burn me, the combination of Pursuit and Sandstorm damage should be enough to knock him out, but I get pretty lucky as I'm able to not get burned, and in return easily to a KO the Tentacruel. As he brings in the Squirrelll, I am locked into Pursuit, which is really bad for me, so I'm going to be forced to switch out. Now thankfully I do actually carry Roar on this Empoleon. However though, I forgot that Squirrelll does indeed get Magic Bounce, so if you did want to start Calm Minding, this could have really been bad for me, but thankfully he just ends up going for a Will-O-Wisp, so he has knockoff Will-O-Wisp Recover most likely, which means he's most likely not a Calm Mind variant of Squirrelll, which is actually a huge load off of my back, as I'm able to defog away the Toxic Spikes, just because I don't want my Pokemon that can't touch the ground to be toxic, thus allowing the Sylveon to stall me out. As I switch into my Tyranitar, he switches into his Bronzong, and much like Tentacruel, sorry, I put him in a situation where I can easily Pursuit Trap the Bronzong, as I'm able to get off a huge amount of damage on him before he finishes me off with the Earthquake. I can now bring in my Landorus, and I can basically just go for the U-turn. I didn't want to go for Stealth Rocks, obviously, because he does have this Squirrelll, as I'm going to be able to U-turn on out of there. I can now bring in my Keldeo, and I'm basically in a situation where I can just freely go for a choice spec stab Hydro Pump. Now yes, I know that I use Keldeo a lot, but it's just because it is such a great Pokemon right now in the ORAS OU metagame, as I'm able to knock out the Bronzong. He's going to bring in the Sylveon. I highly doubt that Hydro Pump will be an OHKO against Sylveon, just because it is very bulky, so I'm going to be forced to switch out. As I bring in my Empoleon, I'm going to take this opportunity just to go straight for the skull because I am in Torrent. Nothing that he has to switch in is going to be taking this hit well, as I get a burn on the incoming Squirrelll. Honestly, that burn does not matter because as you can see, I do indeed end up outspeeding him, and as I mentioned before, Squirrelll gets magic bounce as its ability is no longer prankster, so I'm able to easily 2-KO the Squirrelll, and on the double down I bring in my Landorus as he brings in the Sylveon. I'm going to go straight for the U-turn just because I know that an Earthquake will not be able to finish him off, so I'm going to end up bringing in my Charizard Y because I'm still modest. Max special attack in the sun. I have stabbed Fire Blast. Sylveon will not be living 2 of those. I can assure you that for sure. I don't think I said that correctly, but you get what I mean. So predicting him to actually go for the Protect, I go for the Roost as he ends up making a pretty risky switch into his Talonflame, and then goes for the Swords Dance as I'm able to get off a huge amount of damage with the Fire Blast. Then predicting him to just want to go straight for the Brave Bird, I switch directly into my Kyurem Black, which is actually going to be able to live the hit, which is good for me because now I pressure him into having to go for another Brave Bird. And in hindsight, this turn what I should have honestly done was switch into my Landorus, because if I had brought in Landorus, the recoil damage most likely would have been enough to knock out Talonflame. Even though, yes, I would have had a pretty much useless Kyurem Black, Landorus doesn't help me much more than Kyurem Black does, so I should have brought in Landorus to get that recoil damage on Talonflame, thus making it a double down and bringing down the match to only a Sylveon, and then I will still have Charizard Y and Keldeo, which can apply pressure to this Sylveon and eventually beat it 1-on-2, I guess you could say. But you get what I mean. I should have brought in Landorus and not left in Kyurem Black, because now I'm staring down at a +2 Talonflame, and the best thing that I have to take it on is my Landorus. So fearing that a Stone Edge would not knock him out and predicting him to actually go for the Roost, I'm gonna go for the Earthquake. This was a pretty ballsy play, I want to say, because he would have been able to knock out my Landorus most likely. Then again, it really doesn't matter because, as I mentioned earlier, I have Keldeo and Charizard Y, which can still pressure the Sylveon. It's just that having Landorus gives me an extra pivot into Hyper Voices coming from Sylveon, so my Keldeo and Charizard don't have to take any unnecessary damage. And if he did go straight for the Brave Bird, he probably would have had a better chance to actually win this match with just his Sylveon. So in hindsight, maybe I should have gone for the Stone Edge, but as I said, I decided to make the aggressive play and go for the Earthquake. Plus, there was a chance he might have wanted to switch into Sylveon. So in the end, I guess Earthquake wasn't entirely too bad of a play, but it was still a very, very risky play if you follow what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to be able to easily knock out this Talonflame. His last Pokemon is going to be this Sylveon, which eventually I will be able to beat 1-on-1 as long as he doesn't get extremely lucky with like crits, or I miss Hydro Pump or miss Fire Blast. So Earthquake unfortunately is not going to be a 2-KO, and judging for how much damage the Earthquake is doing, I'm thinking that this might be a especially defensive Sylveon, which is actually a little bit scary. Now I actually do carry Explosion on this Landorus, but because he did reveal to me that he has Protect, I'm obviously not going to be as aggressive going for it as I normally would be. So predicting him to Protect this turn, I switch right into my Keldeo, just wanting to gauge to see how much damage Hydro Pump would end up doing to this Sylveon, because I'm Choice Specs, and that is going to be a 2-KO. However, though, he can easily just stay in Wish Protect, Wish Protect, Wish Protect. So predicting him to Protect, I switch directly into my Charizard Y, and this Fire Blast, being modest max special attack, is going to do so much damage to him. But predicting him to go for the Protect, I go for the Roost. As the following turn he Protects, so obviously I got that case of plays wrong, but it's not that big of an issue because all I need to do is hit this Fire Blast. As you can see, that does 73%, which is insane, as he makes a very bad misplay, goes for the Hyper Voice, allow me to now bring in my Landorus and safely go for the Earthquake and finish him off at the amount of HP that he is at, and that is going to be the 2-0 victory in my favor. So as you can see, Landorus is still coming through in the end, but just, yeah, I thought this was actually a really good battle, because in the end that Sylveon could have definitely won him the battle if he had played it correctly. Well, he did play it really well, he just could have played it better in my opinion, because he went for the Hyper Voice, which I don't entirely agree with. But then again, as he went for Wish and Protect, I could have just roosted up to a good amount of HP. The battle would have been dragged out a little bit longer, Although the outcome may have been different. I don't really know. I'm not going to say that it would have or that it wouldn't have, because it's just theory modding at this point. But yeah, as I said, I thought this was a really solid match, showing off that Charizard Y is still a giant threat, even in ORAS OU. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button down below. And with that being said, guys, I will see you all tomorrow with another video. So later, everybody. Thank you for watching.